pretty big day. I start off with the usual routine, brushing my teeth. But today's a little bit different. Whenever I start something new in my career, I always have to go to the Gurdwara. But let me talk a little bit about that later. First thing I want to talk about is this new app that I've been using called TimeTune. And it allows me to organise my time in set blocks. This isn't sponsored, it isn't an ad. This is literally me just trying to plug you to something that could help you get everything that you want to get done in the day. And it has certainly helped me. Now, as I mentioned, the first thing that I like to do, even before I start school, the first day of exams, is go to the Gurdwara. It's my place of worship. I'm a Sikh individual, and it is something that does mean a lot to me in terms of making sure that I get off to the best start that I can. I'm very grateful for everything that has happened in my life, and a lot of that has come down to prayer. There were times where I felt like I wouldn't be able to succeed, or I wouldn't get a training contract offer even, but faith was what helped me get through, so I had to visit the Gurdwara for that. Then I got back home, and the first thing I did was my friend called me to say good luck. So I had a really cute conversation with them, just talking and catching up. As you can see, the conversation was quite funny. Now, the next thing I did is something that I've literally been waiting to do for a hot minute, and I know that a lot of people will probably agree with me on this. It's changing my LinkedIn and Instagram headlines. So I took out the future bit because I am now officially a trainee solicitor. At that moment, when you click on save, it felt elite. I'm not going to lie to you, and I wish you all have that feeling one day when you train as well. And yeah, that was my LinkedIn profile done. I obviously had to change and add my experience in as well. I think it should be highly recommended to keep your LinkedIn up to date. I then went on to Instagram and did the same thing. So I changed up my bio, which said future trainee solicitor. I changed that to trainee. I also didn't show this on camera, but I changed Twitter as well. So my Twitter handle said future trainee. I really show that everywhere pretty much, don't I? So it was pretty much a little bit of a social admin task of changing all of that about. So the next thing that I had was a welcome talk, but the first struggle of the day was getting these headphones to fit on properly. It honestly was such a struggle, but in the end, as you can see, I looked fabulous. I was then getting my equipment set up. If you wanted to see what equipment I used, feel free to head over to the card above, where I'll show you my desk setup. So everything to my desk mat, to my wireless mouse, to my monitor that I use is all listed in the video description there. The first thing that I had on my induction list today was a welcome talk. So this was a talk where we would meet all the other trainees. I'd already kind of known the trainees before. We'd met each other on different occasions, which was nice because it meant that we weren't going into our first day full of unfamiliar faces. So yeah, we would enter the welcome talk with the trainees and grad recruitment, just a little bit of a catch up, just to settle us all in. I think we all started talking about what our plans were post lockdown. I think that's the hot topic of discussion at the moment. I think we're all pretty excited for 21st of June, when and if that moment arises, but that's a question for another day. So just got out of my first meeting now. It was more of an introductory call. They've given us like a 15 minutes break now, and then we have to enter our next call. I think this one is with the managing partner, where he's just welcoming us to the firm. And yeah, so far so good. The whole firm is really supportive, and they understand that obviously working remotely has its downsides. So they are really understanding of that, which is really nice to see. It was nice to see some familiar faces before I started as well. It didn't really feel like I was entering an unfamiliar space because the firm had put such an effort in us getting to know each other beforehand. I think it made the introductions and just feeling comfortable a lot more easier. So yeah, exciting times. I think it's literally just going to be all meetings all day today. So I don't want to kind of bore you with the details, but obviously you guys will see snippets and insights here and there. The next thing I had on my agenda after the welcome talk was a quiz from the managing partner of the UK office. It was great that he made it really interactive in terms of giving us a quiz. So in that quiz, questions were asked like, how many offices do we have, or what was our total income in 2020? It really gave me an idea of how large the firm was, and also just gave me that context that I needed before starting my training contract. I think what was particularly really nice about this talk with the managing partner was I always kind of gained the impression that heads of firms in like whatever branches they were at, whether it be in the UK or the US or any other country, I always felt that there would be these distant individuals that you never really meet in person, but you hear of them, you know of them, but they don't really know you because you're one of a many, not one of a few. And it was really nice that the managing partner took his time out to talk to us in such an interactive and engaging manner. I do remember he also laughed at one of my jokes as well, which I'm really, really gassed about. We then had a talk about our roles and expectations as a trainee, so it was really reiterated to us what skills they were looking for from us, so things like enthusiasm, attention to detail, putting in hard work, being proactive, taking initiative, all those common skills that I guess we do learn about when we are in the process itself. It was great that we had this transparency before we'd started, so we knew what was expected of us, but also it was portrayed in a really engaging manner, so it wasn't so much as this is what we expect of you and you have to do it. The individual also talked to us about why it's important to have those skills and how to make the most of your training contract as well. Next on my schedule after these talks was lunchtime, one of my favourite times of the day, and Mum cooked up an absolute storm. I know it's a really big advantage to be living at home in this time. I think for me personally, there wasn't really much financial economic sense to move out. I'm pretty happy with staying at home because it's quite close to London anyway. I'd rather actually just save my money rather than push towards moving out. I'd already moved out temporarily for employment as well when I was an insolvency paralegal in Birmingham, and I really did miss my support network with friends and family, so yeah, it was nice to be able to be working from home at home.
Just had lunch now, and the next meeting that I've got is about secondment opportunities, so that is something that I really am looking forward to. The firm does put a lot of emphasis on us going on secondment, client secondments. For those of you who don't know what a secondment is, you spend 6 months of your seat, so basically one of your seats you spend in the client's business.
I was so right about being excited about secondment opportunities. It was something where the firm actually really recommended us going into secondments. I was a bit concerned going in that secondment opportunities may deprive a trainee solicitor of the necessary exposure that they need in the office. However, the firm really dispelled any kind of concerns that I had in that area and really just said that, you know, a secondment is a great way to build skills as a trainee lawyer because you are really given that independence, and it is definitely something that I will be looking to do while I'm at the firm. The next talk we had was on diversity and inclusion, a topic that I am very, very passionate about and advocate for in every part of the legal sphere. So I was really interested to see what the firm had to say about this element. I was really pleasantly surprised by what I'd heard. It was led by individuals who were of BAME background, so it was great to see individuals who looked like me and could share in my experiences. And also we had another talk from individuals of the LGBTQ plus community, so it was really nice to hear that the firm was catering to individuals of underrepresented communities. We also had talks from business development and also the socials and sports side of the firm. The trainees here were so chilled, they actually made me laugh so much. And it was nice to see that everyone just really seemed approachable. The last thing for the day was our social, and I'll tell you a little bit about that now.
We are doing a quiz and we have to be like spies and stuff, so we're just doing this quiz right now to see what kind of spy we would be. It's for our social tonight. I'll give it to you, law firms are very creative. So the type of spy I would be is the researcher. So I will save the world with the power of reading. I'm not gonna lie, that is pretty accurate. I like to research everything before getting into it. So just finished day 1 of the training contract. It was so good. That social that we did last was honestly so fun. It was like a virtual escape room and a lot of effort and you could just tell, the amount of effort that was put into it was really, really good, and it was honestly so fun. I love when it comes to like problem solving in a simulated environment, like when you're acting like spies or trying to escape a room or that kind of thing. I just find it so fun. So in terms of plan for the evening, one thing I do want to say, however, this time block thing that I've been using, it's honestly been so useful. Like, for someone like me, I really forget things really quickly, like short-term things, and this literally just reminded me, okay, at this time you're going to do this, at this time this is what's going to happen. So I'm going to try and like do this every night. I'm going to fill in my time block for the day after, so at least I know for the next day what I've got planned in block sections. But yeah, there were some things on my time block, for example, that I didn't get a chance to do because it ran over. Like, I was supposed to play my drums today, but the social ran over, so I didn't get a chance to do that. But it's not that deep. I'm just glad that I still kind of had a set thing of what I wanted to do every single day, and I guess with time I'll become a lot more accustomed to knowing what I want to do at certain times as well. In terms of plans up for what's next, so right now it's 6:30, and I've got an event with a university. It's International Women's Day today, so it's about women in law and just talking about any kind of barriers and obstacles that we faced as women entering the legal profession. So really excited to talk about that. That's happening in now like 8 minutes. So I prepared a little bit about what I want to say, what I want to mention, just brief notes. I always do that before every event that I attend. And yeah, so then after that I'm eating, and then at 8 o'clock I think it's Harry and Meghan's interview with Oprah, so I really want to watch that. Of course, Team Meghan. It's Meghan Appreciation Day today, as well as International Women's Day. Well, she is a woman, so International Women's Day and Meghan Appreciation Day. I think that is what I personally call today. And yeah, and I think for the evening what I've got planned here is reading Atomic Habits and also Netflix party. I'm currently watching Are You the One on Netflix, really hooked on that, so I'll probably be watching that. In terms of reading, I'm not sure. My brain's been used up quite a lot today, so I'll see how I feel about that. I think it'd be great if I got some reading done, but I think the main thing for me this evening is eating good and watching that interview that I really want to watch. But yeah, see you guys in a bit. Hey!
It was so empowering to do an event on International Women's Day, talking to other really inspirational individuals. When I am invited to panel events, it really is a humbling experience that I really do feel honoured to be a part of. I really enjoy sharing my experiences and also feeling like I've made an impact in helping someone. 2 individuals in this event, for example, privately messaged me and said that my insights really genuinely inspired them and that they wanted to keep in touch. And I think that's a great way in which you can go about networking at events like this. Say if you are hearing an individual who is giving great advice, something that you resonate with and something that you can relate to, don't be afraid to reach out to them on LinkedIn or even during the event chat itself. The fact that they're there at the event shows that they are open to helping people out, and in my opinion it means they're less likely to be that person who says no or just ignores your message. One thing I like to do at the start of every week is fill out my whiteboard with the key events and tasks that I want to do every day. This is mainly for my content creation side of things, so it's really satisfying when at the end of the day I can rub the day's work out and focus on what I've got to do for the next. Next, I change out of my work gear and into my joggers, and for dinner I decided to lend to my Punjabi roots and have roti with dahi and some sabji and salad on the side. I decided to spend an evening chatting to my brother on the phone. He was currently at uni and it was great catching up with him. I also spent some time, I know I said that I would read Atomic Habits, but I actually didn't really feel like reading. So instead what I did, I thought I would listen instead. And there's this podcast that I've recently come across called Climbing the Rungs. And it's a podcast that is aimed at social mobility. It really does inspire people from less privileged backgrounds by sharing stories of success from individuals who share that less privileged background but have been successful in gaining careers in really competitive fields. In particular, I listened to one with an individual who was a solicitor at Latham & Watkins. I think the best thing about this episode was how straight to the point it was. No beating around the bush. And since this video, so many more episodes have also been posted, and I'm really looking forward to hearing further episodes in this podcast. If you're interested, I've attached a link to the podcast in the video description, and also a link to the several social media sites that they are active on. Again, this is not an ad, neither is it sponsored. I just want to put you all on good content. I then go back downstairs and have my favourite ice cream with a movie on that mum and dad are watching. And then comes something that I've been waiting for pretty much all day. After that interview, it was time for bed. I woke up feeling pretty grumpy today. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I'm honestly so tired today. You could see from my face, I look absolutely horrible. But yeah, getting up this morning was a real struggle. I'm still half asleep, I'm not even gonna lie. But I had quite a lot of life admin to do before I start work today. And I wanted to go out for a walk as well before I start. So there's that.
So what I decided to do after I freshened up a little bit was actually go out for a walk. And surprisingly enough, I always get surprised with this because it literally does the same thing every time, but it did wake me up and it made me feel a lot less grumpy as well. So if you are ever having those moments where you are feeling a little bit like today's not the one, then I do recommend going out for a walk. And when I got back in, I decided to freshen up a little bit. You guys roasted my skincare routine before, so I skipped over that, XOXO. But yes, I was freshened up and I was feeling absolutely fabulous. So as mentioned before, I had some admin tasks to do. So today I had porridge for breakfast, and the first thing on my agenda in terms of personal admin work was doing my LinkedIn post for the day. So I do talk a lot on LinkedIn. I am quite active on the site, and I do recommend being quite active on there, just putting yourself out there. The number of opportunities that I've gained from putting myself out there on LinkedIn has been really great, and I know it can be quite daunting sometimes to post, especially on a professional site like LinkedIn, but I think once you start doing it once, it's an obstacle that you become less and less scared to do, if that makes sense. Another important part of the day which really helped me yesterday was the time blocks. So I filled up my schedule with the time blocks again today because I didn't get a chance to do it last night. And then we had a welcome talk again with members of grad recruitment. I logged in at 8:57, and also in this time while the welcome talk was going on, I also decided to email the Diversity and Inclusion Committee following their talk yesterday to become a D&I rep for the firm and also be alerted to any new events that the committee was holding. It was really important to me to get involved with the D&I straight away, so I'm happy I was able to send that email off before work got way too busy and I'd completely forget.
So, we just had a talk now on social media and how we're going to be using social media. Of course, it's really important, for example, to not have photos with like confidential information in the background or like stuff like that. So yeah, it was a really insightful conversation, especially for someone like me who I've literally forgotten my words. For someone like me who does content creation, and I'm very open about my journey during my training contract. So yeah, very, very insightful talk.
The next talk that we had today was about appraisals. We talked about a time where we gained feedback and briefly touched upon the O-shaped lawyer. So it was nice to see that the firm considers that we should develop whole-rounded skills as a lawyer. There was a lot of dog sharing as well, so people sharing their puppies that they bought over lockdown or just, you know, their pets, and it was honestly such a highlight of my day. For lunch we had an absolute Mann family favourite. If you guys watch my New Year's Eve vlog, you'll know what it is, and it's mac and cheese. We all absolutely love it here. My eyes were feeling a little bit dry today, so I decided to apply this heat eye mask. I'll link it in the video description. It was so soothing and it really helps me with my dry eyes. I tried to get my mum to film me removing it, but we both got the giggles, so that kind of failed. The next few talks that I had for the rest of the day was about finance. We had talks from HR, so talking about the recruitment and the people side of the business. We had talks from facilities about health and safety, risk, and we also had an IT induction as well. It's crazy to see how many of the different forms of teams that you get in a law firm. It's not only simply the lawyers, so many people play a part as well in delivering a great service for clients. The IT induction was really important for me, especially. I think part of being a good trainee is knowing how certain things work and getting used to the system. So navigating Outlook, document management system, knowing how to time record, etc. I also found out about split seats, which was really cool. I didn't even know that was a thing before I started today. And I always thought there would be 4 set seats, but there is a rare split seat that you can get as well. So you're essentially working for 2 teams, 2 supervisors within your training contract. The end of the day was spent, the firm had organised a yoga session with us, which was really, really cute. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a massive yoga person. I'm not the most flexible person in the world. I think my best move was when you just lie on your back on the floor and you just breathe. I was really good at that. And that was pretty much the end of my working day. Now, after yoga, I felt weirdly very, very inspired. So I actually went out for a run. Guys, don't judge my distance time. I'm not good at running at all. I've really recently gone into it and I'm hoping to improve. And then for the rest of my evening, I was spent on FaceTime, just talking to friends and just doing some other admin work, watching YouTube videos, and yeah, just chilling out until I went to bed. So we've reached Wednesday and today I woke up again feeling hella grumpy. I'm not gonna lie, I think it's because I had to suddenly start waking up early this week, so I think that really affected my mood in the morning. And unlike yesterday, I couldn't go out for a walk today because the weather was absolutely miserable. However, I did actually have some admin work to do, so I dedicated most of my morning to that. When you are running side passions with a main job, I do think this is the first week where I've realised that waking up early is such a blessing for that. And even then, I wish I could wake up earlier, but I'm still trying to adjust my sleep cycle. So this is honestly, working in the mornings before work is probably going to be something that I'm going to have to do. Obviously, it's not something I'm going to do every morning. There will definitely be mornings where I sleep in, hint hint, a spoiler for tomorrow. However, I did really feel like I needed to catch up on some of my own personal things today before I started working. And yes, today was the professional skills course. So for those of you who do not know, these are the last set of exams and training that you need to take before you become a solicitor. And it's basically, from what I've heard, an extension of the LPC. I didn't really know what to expect when I went into it. I decided to log in at 8:45, and also because I knew I was learning something important today that would be used for exams, I left my phone in another room to concentrate, which really helped. This is something that James Clear has also recommended in his book Atomic Habits. I always talk about Atomic Habits because, not gonna lie, it's the only book that I'm reading right now, but also it's just such a good book, and that's something that he recommended in terms of building a proper working environment, to actually surround yourself with things that make you productive. For the professional skills course today, we learnt about FISMA. For those of you who've done the LPC, you will know what this is. You would have learnt about it before, and it was really interesting. It was an extension, however, of what we'd learnt previously. So all those things that make up, for example, the rules of a regulated activity, there were further extensions to that. And essentially this legislation and consequent legislations and regulations, they govern how we are able to provide financial advice. So for example, lawyers can't just straight up advise people on insurance policies, for example. There are rules to that. For lunch today, I had something a little bit lighter compared to previous days. I had a heated egg sandwich and also replied to Instagram messages. If you've ever talked to me on Instagram, you'll know that I love voice noting my replies rather than typing. Typing is so jarring sometimes, and I'd rather just use my voice. After lunch, I was in such a slump. I was really, really tired. And I think that reflected in the fact that I kind of struggled a bit with the workload after lunch as well. I started to find things a little bit complicated. Because on the PSC, it was a 2-day course and then we had an exam on the Friday at the end of the week. There was so much content to just get through in a short period of time. So because there was so much content, we were going through it quite quickly as well. So things inevitably did get a bit complicated. And I knew that after work, I would have to consolidate my knowledge on it again.
Hey, so I've just finished class. Well, I finished it at 5 actually on the dot, which was really nice. And I washed my hair after, as you can see, so it's wet. And I'm really stuck on a few subjects in the professional skills course. So tonight, I have an event, so I'm going to do that at 7. But before that and after that, I'm going to have dinner for like 10 minutes. But then I'm just going to work on this for the rest of this evening. Because the professional skills course is quite fast paced, I've only got 2 days and then I've got an exam on Friday. And tomorrow we're learning new content. So I think for tonight, I just really want to make sure that I've got the content for today secured and I know what that's all about. But yeah, it's a long thing. It's all about kind of FISMA, and it's FISMA on steroids. So if you guys are doing the LPC, you'll know what I'm on about. But yeah, FISMA on steroids is what I would classify as the PSC. I'm a bit brain dead, but the way I'm going to do my notes today, I'll show you guys some snippets after, is actually go about my revision and my learning in terms of examination structure. And that will kind of consolidate my learning. So when I go into the exam, all I have to do is flick onto a certain page and then it will have my exam structure set out for how to answer particular questions. So I think that would really help in saving time, and I think that's really good. A good way, since it's something that I've learned since the LPC, to try and do in your notes as part of your consolidation. So yeah, long evening ahead, but it has to be done, you know what I'm saying?
However, before I could revise for the evening, I had an event at 7 p.m. And this was another one based around International Women's Day and Women in Law, which is fantastic. And the panel for this event was absolutely so inspiring. And I certainly learnt a thing or two from the event myself as well. I spent the rest of my evening working on the professional skills course. I did have dinner as well. Again, it was roti, just like the other days. I have roti every night. So that's something that you will definitely expect from me. I decided to consolidate my knowledge of everything that we'd learnt from the day. As you can see here, my notes look hella neat. I was really proud of them, I'm not going to lie, but my notes are structured in a way that they were in effect checklists for me to go through the exam. When I'd finished revising, it was time for bed. So as I alluded to, I slept in a little bit today. I woke up around 8 a.m. So this is clearly such a big privilege to have. When you're working from home, you can sleep in a little bit more when you start work at 9. Typically, if I was going into the office, it would actually involve me starting up at 6 a.m. to accommodate journey times and all of the rest of that pizzazz. So sleeping in today felt great, and evidently I was a lot less grumpy as well. I spent my morning recapping what I'd learned from the day before. Sorry, this PSC content is going to be pretty full on, if I'm honest with you. I was serious about passing this exam and was pretty much studying for most of the day. The pass rate for this exam, we were informed, was 97%, but I really didn't want to be in that 3% that failed, and I was somewhat convinced that this could be a likelihood if I didn't work hard for this exam that we had tomorrow. We started off the morning by doing a practice question. I was so lost at first, but then I got into my groove. I don't know whether you're like me, comment if you are, but I'm always a little frazzled at the start of exams. And I'm wondering, oh wow, we are actually doing a practice question right now, or we're actually in an exam. And then I'm like, oh my God, wait, I've actually got to answer these questions. And I snap out of that little daydream that I have at the start of every single exam. I really found time to be a difficult element when I was doing this practice question. I did find that there were times where I literally looked at the time and you have that moment where you're like, oh crap, I've got this much left. So I knew that time was going to be a bit of an issue in the final exam. Now later, for the rest of the professional skills course, we learnt more about different types of investments. So we learnt things like managing our money, ISAs, mortgages, all of that stuff that's got to do with adulting. I actually felt like a big boy investment banker at one point, like I was in Wolf of Wall Street or something, because we were talking about shares and talking about FTSE 100 and all of that kind of stuff. My favourite lunch of this week was these stir-fry udon noodles. I love this cuisine so much and I could literally eat bowls of this. So if you ever wanted to win the key to my heart, it's through this.
Hi.
Oh my God, I look so small. Jesus Christ.
Your girl is tired. She's tired. She's really tired. Just finished class, had a shower now to kind of freshen up. And my exam's tomorrow. We really skipped through the content today, really fast. There's so much content in so little time, and yeah. This is the first time in my life actually that I'm learning about financial literacy. This is something I want to share as well, because this is definitely something that we're not taught at school, but
This is the first time where I'm learning about things like ISAs and mortgages and stocks and shares and endowment policies and all this kind of stuff that I just deeped in. I think it's actually mad that I'm 23 turning 24 this year, and this is the first time I'm properly on a course where I'm learning that. Not only that, but I'm only learning this because I'm training to be a lawyer. Like, this isn't something that, a course that everyone does, right? I just think it's crazy that we're not taught this stuff at school. I just think it's absolutely mad that we're not. I'm just like a head bopping up and down, you know, it's just really weird. Right now though, I've got an event at 6, and that's going to be about the LPC and the SQE. So I've got that from 6 to 7, and then literally for my evening, I'm just planning to revise. I need to put together examination structures about how I'm going to answer particular questions. I need to tab up things so I can easily refer to them in the exam. I'm just happy I'm getting this over and done with tomorrow. Honestly, like, it is really interesting to learn about. That's for sure. Like, I am definitely really interested in parts of what I'm learning. Like, there was one moment where we were discussing Warren Buffett, and I just think, you know, I think everything about him is really interesting. Your girl is also very tight. I'm not an examination person either. I don't like exams. So yeah, I'm just hoping to get this done. I'm really waiting for this weekend, I'm not gonna lie to you. And I'm also really excited to start working next week, like properly in my seat. So yeah, this is just the final day of revision now, and obviously exams tomorrow in the afternoon. And then your girl is free. Pretty much the rest of my day was learning more about investments and revising. Nothing else really happened today, I'm afraid. It was pretty much one of those days where I just had to power on for my exam tomorrow. Let's move on to Friday. So today was the big day, the day of the exam, and I'm not really an exam person. I just really wanted today to be over and done with, and I was really not even looking forward to the weekend, but looking forward to really just starting my seat next week as well. I think as students, I'm sure you may agree with this, but we've had so many exams our whole life. From A-levels, GCSEs, to uni exams, to the LPC, and now this, and it just felt like there were so many different stages and obstacles that we needed to take before we started our career. So I was just really looking forward to that final push towards getting this done and starting in my seat the next week. And I spent my morning as any student revising would normally do, just consolidating, going over my notes, knowing where everything in my study book and study manual was, and ensuring that I was clear on certain concepts. There were some things that I didn't understand fully, I didn't understand them in detail. However, firstly, I was kind of hoping they didn't come up, taking a bit of a risk there, but also kind of just hoping that my knowledge of it would be basic enough that the study manual, and because it was an open book exam, my notes would be able to help me when and if I got stuck. Of course, I couldn't film the exam itself. I'm not sure whether I was even going to be allowed to do that. So I didn't film the exam, and I will provide my thoughts on that later on. Obviously, today was a big day, so I had to have a big lunch. And this is a staple in every Punjabi household, I feel. Beans and smiley faces. Hands up if you've had smiley faces. These are absolutely elite. They're one of my favourite kind of potato snacks, and I absolutely love them. Hi. I've got my exam in about half an hour. I'm feeling alright. Revision has gone well. I think the main thing with this is because it's open book, it's more about knowing where everything is. I hope I'm right with that, but I think it is more so about knowing where everything is rather than knowing everything in detail. But I think having a basic understanding of what's going on is really important. But you know what? Let me just sit this exam first and then see how I feel after that. I'm really excited for post-exam because the firm have organised a social to celebrate the end of our first week and the end of the exam, so I think that's really nice. I think it'll be nice to kind of just sit back and just relax. Of course it's virtual, but it would be nice to kind of have conversations with the other trainees other than stuff like, oh, you know, I'm stuck for this exam, or what do I do, are you revising, that kind of thing. So yeah, and I'm really looking forward to the weekend. Really looking forward to the weekend. Yeah, I think that's all I need to say. So I'm gonna sit my exam. I'm gonna go downstairs and have a quick chat with mum and dad first before I start, and then come back up, and we're all gonna be on a Zoom call, so it's going to be an online exam. And yeah, wish me luck. Morning. So it's Saturday morning. I've literally just woken up, and yeah, I did the PSC yesterday. I didn't film for the rest of Friday evening, I'm not gonna lie, but that was mainly because I just decided to take a bit of a break. After the exam, I'll tell you how I found the exam first of all. It was a lot harder than expected, I guess, but I think I did enough to pass. That was my main kind of aim with this. Starting formally with my seat next week, so this coming Monday, I'm getting introduced to my teams. I have a lot of calls set up with members of the team, different members of the firm, so I'm excited to meet people. Should be really, really exciting. In terms of my thoughts and reflections on the first week of my training contract, I think firstly realization has actually set in that it's weird because I don't think of this like a vacation scheme, because all of my employment to date, except for kind of like my paralegal roles where I knew I was going to be there for a longer period, even like my paralegals role sometimes lasted around 6 months though, but I think during this week I had a bit of a realization that I'm actually in this firm for the long haul, if that made sense. Like that was a real big realization for me. There were times during my first week where I felt like I was on a vacation scheme, because that's what I'm used to. I'm used to temporary forms of employment. So I think it slowly started setting in now that every weekday, like, this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm employed now. And in terms of everything else, like, I am really happy with my training contract so far. I'm really happy with my firm. I think even though I started virtually, you could really see the effort that individuals put in, especially grad recruitment, especially the people who came in to give us talks and inductions. There was a lot of effort put into making sure that even though we were starting virtually, we would still feel included and we would still feel like we were welcomed into the firm. And yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. One thing that I am excited to talk about, and I've not really launched it yet, I've got 2 projects coming up with you guys. I'm setting up 2 new things. Hopefully one will allow me to document my journey as I go on. I am really excited to talk to you guys about that, but at the moment it's a bit hush-hush, so I can't talk about it yet. It should be good. Hopefully it's good. Even if it isn't, like, it's a bit of a passion project of mine, so it's not really about the numbers or as such. It's more so about me trying to explore another skill that I haven't done in a while. So yeah, I think it'll be quite good. I'm looking forward to telling you guys about that. Of course, you guys will be the first to know. And yeah, thank you so much for watching my vlog about my first week into my training contract. If you want to see more content about days in the lives or just an insight into my life as a trainee, just drop me a comment or drop me a message, and I'm more than happy to create more content on stuff like this if it's something that you guys are enjoying and liking. While you're here, also do click on the like button. It really does help with things like the algorithm, just supporting my channel, as well as commenting and subscribing if you liked what you saw today. Thank you so much for watching today, guys. I hope you have a lovely, lovely week ahead. See you later.